Hi everyone, let's welcome again to talk about life. And I'm very honored to have you. That both of us are able to have this 30-minute very useful conversation, and welcome you to Singapore now virtually.
Okay, yeah, thank you for inviting me, and it's been an honor. Can I record too? Okay, it says please ask the host to give you permission.
Um,
Or are you recording it, right?
yes, I'm recording it. I can send it over to you.
Okay,
Yeah.
send me the link once you, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be.
Thank you once again for Dr. Mobi, all the way from the States to join us here in Singapore for a very important topic, faith in pandemic. And more importantly, I would like to present Dr. Mobi and also both of us and the viewers to also ponder about 2020 in review. Beyond the faith, what has mankind learned in 2020 in your view? And what do you foresee portending for 2021? So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Dr. Mobi once again to the warm weather of Singapore. And I hope that you can visit Singapore soon after the pandemic.
Yeah, and I have visited Singapore twice earlier in my years. I came there, I went to Sentosa Island, and, I love Singapore. Actually, that was one of the first few countries I ever went. So it's been, Singapore is so clean. Even, at that time was very clean. We stayed in Little India place. There's the place called Little India.
Yes.
And you have the World Trade Center. Actually, my exam, we had to take exam to come to US, and that was in that World Trade Center. Our exam was in that, and so we'll come out, and it's been a lot of great memories for Singapore.
Wow. So Singapore welcome you.
Oh, thank you.
Dr. Mobi, I'm so glad that you've mentioned all about this. The world is actually suffering in 2020 in many ways, either economically or people are going to the edge of their mental health. That I've spoken to a lot of people. Everyone is actually looking forward to 2021. So post-pandemic, hopefully, 2021 heralds a brand new hope. Come to Singapore and spend your tourism dollar here. I think we need to help the mom and pop businesses. All these micro companies and all these workers that have their jobs threatened. If we need the power of the consumers to support back the world economy, it's not sufficient to have government bailouts. And government bailouts can only sustain people at a very small extent. The world really needs every consumer to be going out there, spending that dollar, because that dollar is going to go so far to help the mom to bring the bread home, to give the pocket money to the kid, and so that the kid can use. It goes a long chain of utility of the dollar. So nothing is too little. So I welcome Dr. Mobi, and thank you also for letting me be on your show for this bilateral conversation. I know there should be more understanding of many countries as post-pandemic. I can foresee the world is going to traverse. Everybody's just going to move. Everybody has been in lockdown for 1 year. The energy is all there. They're all eager to go. So take a plane, Dr. Mobi, to come here in 24 hours.
I know. I love, like I said, Singapore is always on my list, and great people, great country, and I think very hard working, and I really have great admiration for Singapore always, because, like I said, it was the first country I took my exam to come here to US, so that's why I have a great, and there was a great learning, I'm from Pakistan, and they are, not as particular about cleanliness as they should be. But when you come to Singapore, you realize that yes, it can be done and it should be done. And the other thing I really love about Singapore is that how people from different types,
Yes.
religion and sects, they live in harmony. And then we have Little India. We have all kind of places there, representing each community, and
Yeah.
they are in harmony. I'd never seen, and on the other hand, not to kind of devalue your neighbors, but we have, other neighbors nearby, Thailand and
Malaysia,
Asia.
Thailand.
They are there, but they're not as organized as Singapore is. So kudos to all, and the hard work you all do. And then important thing is 2020. So a lot of people, it is a nightmare. Sure, I'm not gonna code it and say it's not a nightmare, but it is a nightmare. But remember, nightmare also ends, and you always have a next day, or you will have a next
Yeah.
day and a better night for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
This nightmare is going to end no matter what. And then nightmare always ends, and whether we are crying throughout the
Yeah.
nightmare or whether we are, it seems very long.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
that's like anything, difficult times tend to seem to be very long, but they are not really long. Maybe I would say this give us time. This COVID actually taught us a lot of good things. I am not, of course, I'm sad about all the deaths. I'm very sad about a lot of people who got sick, and not to mention who lost lives. And being a doctor, I'm at the forefront. I see patient admit every day, or see, to for COVID, and I see them. But it's also important to learn what this virus was trying to teach us. Okay, so
Yes.
I think we were carried away with a lot of industrialization, which was fine, normal, working day and everything. But we look at you and me wouldn't have connected if we had COVID, right? This,
Sure.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, all
That's
across the
how.
world. I would have never known who is Vicky Esther, or you would ever known who is Dr. Mobi. But we are connecting through this
Yeah.
media video,
Yeah.
Zoom, because we have, relied now on this kind of transmission to connect. Definitely. Other thing it paid attention to was that ultimately it was our own health, our own lifestyle, which mattered. There are no medication of this disease. There are nothing. What really matters, and they have seen again and again, is your lifestyle.
Yeah.
So if you're obese and you're, overweight, and you will have complications. If you are a smoker and you ruin your lungs, sure you will have complications. If you have a heart problem and so forth. So again, it comes down to our lifestyle, which was so important. That was actually single most factor in deciding or the prognosis of somebody who gets
Sure.
COVID. And sadly, it was a lot of doctors, especially from minorities. My colleagues also lost their lives because
Oh,
they
wow.
would, of course, taking care of patients, but they were not taking care of themselves. So, so it's very important to always, practice and preach. You want to practice things and preach things which you think they are going to. In my opinion, the faith, important part of faith is always, practice and preaching. So do not just preach, faith, because faith is something comes from inside out. It cannot be from outside inside. So you can color faith, but if it doesn't go into your soul, or if you don't really believe in it, then you'll have a hard time explaining or showing to somebody. And this probably COVID was a test of that, in my
Yeah.
opinion, because a lot of doctors or medical profession, or if they were not practicing themselves, but they had, you know all kind of medication, everything for other patients and so, but they never followed or believe in themselves. Guess what? They were having complications. They were having problems. So in a way, it taught us a lot of good things. And also, not to mention, you were quarantined with your loved ones, okay, with your close ones. So guess what happened? People who were not spending time with their kids or their loved one, they spend a lot of time. There actually lot of marriages improved, a lot of relation, and on the other hand also a lot of some relationship broke down because they were relying on not seeing each other. And so that kind of relationship was where people were busy all the time, but there was some kind of relationship, so called. But when they had to spend actually time together, they realized they were different people.
Yeah.
They had nothing in common. Okay,
Yeah.
but that also happened. So the question is always, so I think COVID was also, look at the pollution, look at the outside.
Mm.
There was less smoke, there was
Yes.
less pollution. Look at the water was cleaner. Fish came back in Italy, Venice. That whole area. They saw fish after so many years in
Yeah.
that water.
Yeah.
And guess what? So what it teaches us is that maybe we were carried away with
Yeah.
all this industrialization and everything, but we never paid attention to what we really are, what our soul is, what our faith should be. So I think in a way, it kind of teaches to the basics, simplicity. You need to kind of have a healthy lifestyle. You need to have a healthier conversation with your loved ones. You need to take care of them, stay with them, and have that bond. I mean, imagine, it's a simple virus. It's not as complicated as human body, but remember, it can destroy human body. And the reason is very simple. It attacks the simple principle of cleanliness, which was hand washing, and it just attacked that. Okay, so a lot of people would say, me being in medical profession, we were cleaning our hands all the time, but other people would not do that. So for us, not a big difference because we kind of cleaned our hands all the time,
Yeah.
anyways. But for other people, yes. But the question is always, what were we doing before? Why we not cleaning our hands before that? Or and should we give up after this? Answer is no. I mean, not as aggressively, but at least we should still be doing the basic principles. So, in my opinion, yes, COVID will be history. It'll be gone, and but what it leaves us is that message of simplicity, taking care of your life, taking care of your loved ones, and
Yeah.
also taking care of your health. So guess what will happen is a lot of people who were sickest, they were had to spend just time by themselves, and there was nobody in the hospital. They were so lonely, and some passed away or died being lonely. So ultimately comes down to it's you only. And if you did not take care of your lifestyle, unfortunately you will have the consequences. So in my opinion, you know yes, I'm sad about the death, definitely. I What really is intriguing is, look at, there were millions of people had flu 100 years ago, and we knew that the virus mutates and is going to have a devastating effect later on. We all knew that in medical profession. The question is, now they had to prepare vaccine and kind of do all this. It took a year to do that. Why they were not paying attention 2 3 years back? And so we had the SARS, we had all kind. I mean, we had flu every year. Now they did mRNA, this technology, just in last 6 months or 9 months. Why didn't they perfect it way back? So
Yeah.
that, to me, I mean, when we can go aim for Mars and Moon, why can't we even fix a small virus? That's like puzzling to me. that so there is a lot of learning actually.
Yeah.
It is so it comes down to us. So I think that's my take on that.
Yeah. Dr. Mobi, I'd like to ask you from your medical expertise point of view, this vaccination now that we have come into this phase of rolling out, and 2 days ago, UK has actually had the first injection of the vaccine into a 91-year-old lady. So how, for us who are not medically trained, and this is going to be rolling out, I should say, in a massive way. How long do you think it will realistically complete this phase of which is needed to stop the pandemic? Some people say it's about 70% of any community. How long do you think the phase will take in reality?
The vaccination works off herd immunity. So what
Yeah,
herd immunity is that when 70% or 60% or whatever percentage you have, you take that and people are immunized or they have enough antibodies to fight the infection. So
mm,
the infection cannot run like fire.
mm,
Okay. So that what is the herd immunity, and that's what the efficacy. I am, I'm hopeful this vaccine is going to help, but still I want people to make sure they do
yeah,
their part. Do not
yeah,
change your habits for
yeah,
next 1 year or even more.
yes, yes,
Keep clean, keep all this. This vaccine, even the worst thing can happen is as soon as somebody gets vaccine and they think they are immune and everything and they
exactly.
just run around. Well, a vaccine in perfect scenario, what they have given is 95% efficacy. Okay, it's not 100%.
Yeah,
So, and then there is, also notion that with viruses, the antibody is not, nobody knows, what level is considered perfect.
yeah,
Okay. So, and so there's no passport or there's no notion that somebody will be 100% immune and you can party like we used to.
yeah,
I would be very hesitant for next a year or so,
yeah,
or I would be very careful and I would take it easy on, so there will be transition. Eventually it will improve and go away. I think, it will, this virus, remember this virus is like any virus, it mutates too. It's mutating very fast. As we speak, it has mutated already
yeah,
from what was the original virus. And then it is more infective, but it's the lethality is gone down. So it's
yeah,
definitely infecting. My guess is gonna keep on mutating, and it does not have such a complex system to recognize your old memories and so forth. So it's a
mm,
simple molecule in that sense.
mm.
So it's gonna mutate a lot, and it might even mutate to a lesser lethal form. It can happen. I hope it does. I pray it does. So my answer is, I would be careful. Okay, I would be careful. I'm happy, optimistic. We should always be, even before this. So I would say be careful with that. If somebody asked me if, I would quote what their website is saying, 95, 90%. My guess is not going to be near that. Okay. My guess it will be less than that. But I don't want to kind of stream negativity. I would still get myself shot. I want to make sure people who are high risk, you have to be still careful.
I've got two questions, Dr. Mobi. Number one, because you did mention that you're worried that people who are vaccinated, they go back to their old habits, they don't change. So, do you think, um, like what you see, what you decipher on a macro level, do you think the governments all over the world, this is hitting governments really hard, bailouts, helping economies, do you think governments will go back to uh, normal or there will be a new normal that emerge, right? Number one. And you being a doctor, you are, a world-renowned doctor, and then you are, a lot of our colleagues have suffered this COVID-19. Now, my question that I pose to you in 2020, is there any contradiction between religion, faith, and science? What is your take on it?
Okay. Remember, always religion, science can never catch up to religion. Okay. So, in my simple explanation, religion is religion, and it was there many years before science came, or it will always be there. People who think they try to explain that it is good to understand the logic behind it, but and I encourage everybody always to look at how advanced we thought we were, and look at small virus comes and destroys us. That's written in our religion, that there is some higher power or higher thing than you think you are. It's in every religion, whichever religion you follow. So bottom line is, so this is what is religion is. If we all believe that there is some higher power than us, yes, we will be very careful. But if we only thought, to me, science is that what you are, but what you could be, that would be religion. Okay. So if you thought there is higher power, or there is somebody smarter, or there is positivity, and then there is optimism, then that would be religion. Okay. If you only thought that tomorrow is worse, and things like that will crash and things, then that would be, in my opinion, economics or science, and that does not have as infinite or as a long sight what religion or philosophy would have.
And my question to follow up that in your responses, do you think mankind has learned something? And if we, and you as a person of faith, and myself as a person of faith, do you think mankind has learned something about the higher power beyond this universe, human universe? Do you think 2020 has taught mankind anything in your observation in review of 2020?
I'm a person who always believe in faith. So, when I always say, when you look at outside, and you look at leaves, and you look at trees, and you look at birds, and you look at, the architecture is so fine and so beautiful. There's nothing anybody can draw or make it. I said, somebody has a thought about anything else, I said, look at our creation. Our creation is building, okay, right? Or our creation is car. Look at that, and look at the fly or a bird, and look how intricate they are, how beautiful they are, how well or disciplined they are. We are like no match, okay? There's kind of total discussion. So can we, of course, we should always learn from it. We should always get the positive vibe, because it invites us. When I look at the sky, yes, you'll see stars, and you dream that you will reach there, you will go there. But that's what we should do. We should not just stare at it and say, okay, well, God or whatever power lives there, we don't go there. No, no, don't do that. So learn from.
So using your understanding about this higher power, how do you interpret the pandemic that falls on 2020?
Okay, so one thing I don't want to say or have. I am sure a lot of people would say that our own action brought it in. Yes, maybe true. That we created pollution, we created so many bad things, and there is a negative karma, and that probably brought it in. They said there was a cartoon about all the animals and plants were praying that humans are destroying the planet, and then they were, asking, the higher power or God to intervene. I mean, I
I
mean,
didn't see that cartoon.
I saw that cartoon and it was funny. So I
Yeah,
said, yes, they were happy that, humans are now
yeah,
engaged in their own houses and they can go out. And the animals are all laughing outside and they say, well, thank God they
yeah,
really were
yeah,
messing up the planet.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, in my opinion, yes, that is, maybe it's true. I would never know, but
yeah,
my, the bottom line is, look at we did, invention or innovation
mm,
of this new technique
yeah,
of vaccination. Okay. Now this happened where it wouldn't have happened if there was no COVID.
yeah,
So we should believe in ourselves. We should always, this universe invite us. We are the smartest organism on here. It invites us to innovate and do good things for others.
yeah,
And I wish we keep on doing that and stop worrying about uh, what will happen to who is going to feed us. Humans are the only species who has money, currency, and they are the only one who are not fed well. Every other organism is fed well, you know. And why is that? Because we are too much carried away with money.
yeah,
Uh, okay, so remember, so all the birds, animals, all are happy, but we are very unhappy. I don't know why, but
yeah. And I've taken up a lot of your time, but I'd like to finally squeeze in uh, the question before, like, all these governments now are at the wit's end, right? And you talked about industrialization that's really powering mankind now. The curve has shown in social observation, and the mankind has been for the last 100, 200 years, we've been growing this way. The changes have been gradual, but the last 20 years with the advent of the internet and all these industrial, it really zooms out there. And so we are now thrown into the fourth industrialization, myself included, using Zoom to communicate with you. We are now suddenly being thrown and accelerated into this new era. That's one thing about mankind, and of course, these governments, head of governments, heads of states, head of nations, they are human too. And nobody has anticipated 2020, not in the brightest mind. And nobody thought that, this 2020 is going to like just crash on all of us as one. It's almost like this is the earth, but the whole earth just collapsed as one. So, Dr. Mobi, with your philosophy and your view of the world, and your wisdom, is there any thoughts about, will nations or heads of nations emerge differently looking at this trend that, it has brought us? And what is your hope post-pandemic?
okay, and that is a beautiful question. Okay, so look at COVID. It infected every origin, every humankind, every nation. Okay, so what it teaches us is all have the same problem. Okay, there's no reason to fight. We should all have, combined our efforts, whether it's a research or there were such a great stories about this COVID that lot of nurses, different ethnic background and different people, and even people from China, from everywhere else came and donated ventilators and staff, and it went to China first. Sad thing was, it, of course, it when it affected one part of the world, other people just looked at and said, "Oh, look, they must have done something bad or wrong." But instead of, so guess what happened? It transmitted and it just messed up everybody. So then that's why they say, if you see somebody in bad shape or sick, don't laugh at them. Try to help them, because next thing is you yourself
Yeah.
could be sick next
You
time.
are-
So that's exactly what happened. People were
Yeah.
laughing at China. People were laughing at Asians. People. So guess what happened? Then Italy got this virus. Okay, and they were blaming first, China. Then later on, they found it came from Europe. I mean, this is, to me, is just missing the main point. Main point is always poor, hunger, all these diseases. COVID is not going to differentiate you're Chinese or American or Singapore. It doesn't matter. Yes, what does matter is what your health is. Yes, it does matter that way. But ultimately, we all going to suffer if we just close our eyes and think, oh, that will happen to that person or that community, but not us. So we are all, connected. All economies are connected. So if one economy is ruined,
True.
guess what? It has a ripple effect on rest of the economy.
That's true. That's true.
and
Exactly.
and that people don't understand that. Okay,
Yeah.
they just look at one, but I always say, if we don't learn, or if we close our eyes, reality don't change. Realities never change. And it doesn't matter what we believe or not, because it's good if we believe the reality, because we'll be well prepared. But if we don't believe me, it's going to teach us. Okay, and that's what happened, my opinion.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mobi. And, we have shared a lot. And my hope for 2021 is that we, individually, we will emerge wiser, to be more appreciative of the world, of each other, our neighbors. And the definition of neighbors now is just from Singapore to the US. We are as close as that. I think that has not been defined before, but now we see it. We take a plane, the virus travels in 24 hours, So I think the world has definitely grown smaller.
Mhm.
And I believe a lot of people have better understanding about what the world is. Because like what you say, the virus is irrespective of persons. They don't really care whom you are, what you are, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, you live in a big house or a small house. And
Yeah.
also about my hope for 2021 is, the governments will also subscribe to this concept that there is always a higher power, that they will take things much more responsibility for the power, for the legitimate power that they're given, So with that, I'd like to thank Dr. Mobi and welcome you to Singapore in 2021 when the world becomes safe. So let's have our hopes for 2021 for mankind, for the nations, for the heads of all these nations, and for individuals. Thank you once again. Hi everyone, let's welcome again to talk about life.